It's Mike Matthews, the host of the longest-running self-produced daily podcast on planet Earth by a guy named Mike at Café Anyway in the land of Ameritopica. It is Mike's Daily Podcast, and it is episode 3056, 3056. So this headline grabbed me. LA issues only 4 permits to rebuild homes after devastating Palisades fire. Only 4 permits to rebuild homes destroyed or damaged during the January wildfires in the wealthy enclave of Pacific Palisades that charred some 7,000 homes. A handful of residents received approval to begin rebuilding their properties. Recently, the LA Times reported 3 of the permits were for 1 to repair a damaged home and 2 for full rebuilds. This, according to the Department of Building and Safety. The first permit was issued on March 5th, less than 2 months after the Palisades fire swept through Pacific Palisades and the surrounding area and destroyed or seriously damaged more than 6,000 homes. The first few permits issued have been touted by Mayor Karen Bass as a milestone in the city's recovery, but local leaders and residents have criticized the slow permitting process. Councilmember Tracy Park said it was concerning that only 4 permits had been issued as of March 24th, more than 2 months after the fire. When I hear in the community meeting like we had today that only 4 permits have been issued, and we're on day 75 post-fire, that is concerning to me. She said, I don't think it's a lack of interest in rebuilding. I suspect it is indicative of systemic issues that we need to continue to focus on. The first phase of the permit process involves identifying and disposing of hazardous waste, like asbestos and lead and other toxic materials. And this is a big thing in California. We check stuff to make sure there's no poisons, no toxic stuff, no mold, no bad stinky smells, no rock music, no graffiti. Oh wait, they let all that around, but loud music, that's okay. A drummer lives next door to you. Where am I going with that? Well, the contaminated soil is the second phase. It requires the clearing of ash, and they got to clear off the contaminated soil, which is 3 to 6 inches worth of soil they got to get rid of. Where is all this going? Speaking of where is it going? Where is all this going? All this waste, all this contaminated waste, toxic waste. Of the 4 permits issued, 1 involved the owner of a split-level home who submitted blueprints to city inspectors on February 17th for repairs to a fire-damaged primary bedroom, bathroom, and garage, according to the Times. Other city lawmakers have criticized the mayor's decision to hire the private Haggerty Consulting for a $10 million fee to oversee the recovery effort, despite the city staring down a $1 billion budget deficit next year. Councilmember Monica Rodriguez said to ABC7, we have city departments who know how to do this recovery, who have been involved in recovery efforts in the past, and yet they can't be afforded the opportunity to hire the personnel that they need. But we can give a $10 million contract to an outside agency to help write a report for us? What is going on? We got such crazy bureaucratic nonsense in this state, and it all comes from this, well, as California goes, so the nation goes, so we better lead by example, and we end up paying crazy higher insurance rates. Although I do hear, as far as insurance goes, we pay less than like parts of Oklahoma. So, well, that's all I got for you, and I'm not going to say the word like anymore because that makes me sound like I'm a Californian, like totally dude, that's awesome and very rad. But instead of being all of that, let's go into the Café Anyway and be all of inside of there. Shall we go there with the most perfectly constructed sentence of all time? Perfect. I will open the door for you. Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Welcome to FF episode 3056. 3056, that's right. Of the show called
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Here at Café Anyway in Latin Rootabega, last place on earth. How are we doing? It's Mike Matthews, and I have been very much singing songs, that kind of thing. I'm a little oblong. What?
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Well, let's see. What's this interesting thing? Clones. So,
Mike's
you
Daily
may or may not be a model.
Podcast.
H&M has these models.
Yeah.
People that wear the clothes and they model the clothing. Well, H&M has decided, why don't we just clone these models? They have been working with models to create digital twins that are indistinguishable and might soon appear in online marketing campaigns. Participating models, they actually own the rights to their virtual likenesses and would be able to negotiate payment. That's always a good thing for their twin and the e-commerce spot that the twin is having. So they would make money exactly the same as the twin would be making. They would make that money as if they were actually there. So confusing. So, what was that? The not Battlestar Galactica, Blade Runner. That kind of thing. Real ID scramble is happening. It's causing DMV chaos because May 7th you'll need to use either a passport or a real ID to get through TSA and to fly. Frantic real ID seekers are causing widespread DMV lines, even leading to scalpers selling slots. That's not right. Don't do business with those type people. They're awful.
And here's today's podcast picture.
They're horrible. They're scum. The scalpers, I meant. You can say what you want about the airlines, but the airlines could suffer as the real ID switch threatens to scuttle travel plans. Which, by the way, U.S. travel demand is seeing some turbulence just when you thought you'd be making summer travel plans. Economic anxiety appears to be rearing its ugly head. Travel demand is showing signs of slowing down as Americans grapple with economic anxiety. The high prices, economic uncertainty, household debt, they're all putting financial pressure on consumers. The late great Basil the Boxer used to go with me to the spot that you see in the podcast picture, which I did not travel in a plane to get to, no, just in my car. And there's a picture of me there on Poplar Beach in Half Moon Bay, not too far away from Podcastro Valley. The late great Basil the Boxer, late great Basil the Boxer used to go there all the time with me. We'd go on many a long walk. See that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. British carrier Virgin Atlantic, not to be confused with Virgin Galactic, which I think is gone now, got put out of business by that Jeff Bezos flying the blue space thing that brought all those women up into space in a big publicity stunt. Jeff Bezos' girlfriend or wife.
Life grand.
Isn't it grand up in space? And poor Katy Perry couldn't sing one of her songs up in space. She had to stick with the Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World. Because she was looking at the wonderful world. Because what lyrics of her songs would you want to sing up in space? But actually, they got to listen to Katy Perry sing in space. Ooh, boy. Didn't have to pay the price of a ticket to concert. They love her in England. And what a wonderful word. It's the way Louis Satchmo, as they called him, used to sing that song. It was wonderful word, not world. And then there was, what was his name? Is the famous singer, was he from Hawaii? That sang that, and he mashed up the two. What a Wonderful World, and the that other one that I can't think of because I sneezed just now before the show started because of my allergies. And that has caused me to not
What's the cliche of the week?
be able to access brain cells.
What's the cliche of the week?
Allergies, that's a cliche.
What's the cliche of the week?
And that
What's the cliche of the week?
restaurant prices are high. But back to the airline thing. So British carrier Virgin Atlantic said it is seeing signs that U.S. travel demand is slowing down. Delta, United Airlines, American Airlines, and Southwest have lost more than $24 billion in market cap
What's the cliche of the week?
this year alone.
What's the cliche of the week?
Wow, that's a lot of money.
What's the cliche of the week?
Yes, many
What's the cliche of the week?
many thousands of millions of dollars. Last week, actually, no, this was the last week of March, the four stocks for the Delta, United, American, and Southwest dumped another $5 billion on signs of travel dampening due to the Trump tariffs. Flights between the U.S. and Canada are down up to 76%. I watch the Canadian news channel that they got there, the CBC, I think it is. And they're always talking about how, oh my gosh, we're never going to America again. We're going to stay here in Canada and have some fun and do staycations. Travelers are seeking value, which could lead to lower prices and deals from airlines.
News random.
Airlines and hotels. There's a bit of news random for you there. But the restaurant prices have risen about 30% in the last 5 years, outpacing consumer prices overall, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis. 30% in the past 5 years. So that burger you just ate is 30% more expensive than it was just 5 years ago. And that is way more than what we pay on other type things. That's ridiculous. And you know restaurant prices never come back down, except here at Café Anyway, where we don't have prices. Because I don't think we really sell anything, do we? But that's just the restaurants never bring their prices down. When have they ever brought their prices down? I've never seen them bring their prices down. But this means that a bunch of restaurants are also, and big chains are going bankrupt. Casual dining restaurants have been hammered by rising costs.
Mike's scavenger hunt.
I have found that well-known chains like TGI Fridays, Red Lobster, Rubio's Coastal Grill. Remember that? Didn't they have like a Taco Tuesday thing? And even Buca di Beppo. Do you remember Buca di Beppo? Oh, what a place that was. Always big time.
For your entertainment.
What?
The one.
Who?
The only. Mike Matthews.
Thank you. Yeah, it was served family style. So you would have to show it with more than one person, basically. And I think, as I recall, of all the times I went to a Buca di Beppo, it was always me and a couple other people. And there would be, well, of course, me, because I'm remembering the story from my angle. Anyway, Café Anyway. It had a lot of like Roman architecture and Italian flags and stuff from Rome. And then there was pictures of famous Italians. And it had just that Italian, okay, I think Italian music played as well. And the one in San Francisco, I remember you went downstairs. It was several levels underground. It was pretty interesting. I don't know if it's still there. Probably not, because it's bankrupt. As is Hooters. They struggled in recent years due to inflation, the high cost of labor and food, and declining spending by cash-strapped American consumers. Say goodbye to the orange shorts and the low-cut tank tops. And say hello to... No, you also got to say goodbye to beer. No. America's brewing count has dropped for the first time since... And this is brewery count, rather. Since 2005. 2 straight decades. 20 years...
The Mike tip.
Of booming growth, says the Mike with the Mike tip. Things are starting to get a little flat in the American beer world. More breweries closed than opened for the first time since 2005. For the first time in 20 years. More breweries closed than opened. 335 new breweries opened in the U.S. in 2024, but then 399 breweries shut permanently in 2024. Yikes. This is a reflection of the nation's changing drinking habits because 18 to 34-year-olds, the Gen Zs or the Zillennials or whatever they are, 65% of them said they thought moderate drinking is harmful. But they'll vape the pot vape all day long. It's a cannabis vape, whatever it is. It smells like strawberry, but it's also got that stinky skunk smell. Oh, what a joy. But it's better than drinking beer. I don't know.
Wow, shuts, wow.
Wow, shuts, wow, my mom would say, because she called me shuts because it's a German thing. But yeah, Trump also has the steel and aluminum tariffs that's going to raise prices on steel kegs and aluminum cans, which of course you need with the beer, to transport the beer, to have the beer at the stupid parties, the frat parties. No, don't do the beer pong, which rhymes with something I think I was really trying to say. U.S. Surgeon General called for cigarette-style risk warnings to be included on all alcoholic beverages. So there you go. And it is true that alcohol use was linked to over 100,000 cases of cancer and 20,000 deaths each year in the U.S. I think that was a recent study from the World Health Organization or the CDC or, yes, the Center for Disease Control, something like that. But fascinating stuff there.
The Newsbleed section.
All that from the Newsbleed section. We have learned so much. But let's say hi to some people real quick. Hello, my gosh, it's Madame Rootabega. Oh, that was very interesting. I love to talk to you here outside of Café Anyway. Ooh. Do you like Rocky the cat? He's about to jump on my lap. Yes. Do you like beer? Yes. Do you like Netflix? No. I don't either. There's like nothing to watch on that streaming platform. I canceled it 8 years ago, but my lovely lady friend has it, so I guess we're going to watch some new shows on it. Oh, well, look who else is here.
Hello, Dave Mike. This is Valentino, the Virgin attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley.
Mike, you're kind of rushing through the show today, D.
Yeah, Russian. Do you know that? I am not Russian, but I have had to speed it up because it turned out...
The Myclopedia in Seneca.
What is the word? As I find here in the Myclopedia in Seneca, the word is redundant. Redundancy, repetitive? Well, not the redundancy is that I am going to phase out myself because I've already got myself doing this podcast. But no, which made no sense. If there was a clone involved, perhaps it would. But no, I already did this podcast. In fact, if you see the video of this podcast at mikesdailypodcast.com, I'm basically saying the same thing I'm saying here, but differently because I recorded this earlier. But then my wonderful computer, and I use Adobe Audition, and I use an old version of it, and it decides to, what's the word? Peter out. But instead of the word Peter, we use a word that rhymes with nap. It peters out and then dies and crashes, and I can't retrieve any of the audio I recorded. So that makes life lots of fun and very interesting. And then things like
Matthew's News.
That's my news for you today. Thank you for listening to this fascinating news. We will see where this all goes. Will beer disappear forever off the face of the earth? There are so many breweries in the Bay Area and in California in general. And I remember when I was living in the Ventura County area, some great breweries down there. That, in fact, there was one that closed up eons ago. It was one of the first craft breweries I ever went to. And they would do like a little Oktoberfest. And when I mean a little Oktoberfest, it was tiny. It was like this one guy with an accordion and one of those Bavarian hats with the goat's tail sticking out the top of it. And he'd go sing a song. Maybe his name was Shuts. I don't know. But yes, we'll see. I have a feeling beer will survive in some shape or form. And people sure love that kombucha. my lovely lady friend, and people like their sours and ciders, though I can't decide.
It's a nightmare of a show.
If I think cider is a nightmare of a show. Is she talking about this show? No. What do you think she's talking about? Here's the phone number.
Call Mike at the Café Anyway hotline. Area code 510-228-4640.
Will you shut ups? Liberty Nation Freedom Phone for all.
And with all things having to do with Mike's Daily Podcast, I would like to say you could go to the mainframe and hear from A-Frame. And before we do that, I would like to thank you for listening to the show.
First of all, I just want to thank everyone for joining us here on this show. This is great.
It's a nightmare of a show.
That's almost exactly what I said, but slightly different. Thanks for listening.
You're very welcome, Mike.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye.